Welcome everyone to session 3 of our database track. So today is one of the most important and foundational topic, data modeling and ER diagram. So whether you are designing a small app or a large enterprise system, a good data model is critical, and let's get started. So first let us understand what is a data model, because in the previous session, if you have missed the previous session, please go ahead and watch it here. You should know what is database and why we really require database here. So here you can see that I have already explained about database design and management. So this one, okay, if you have missed it, please go and watch that. So in that, we already discussed that our data is important, our table is important. So how to connect the table? So this ER means entity relationship diagram. So in this E means we call it as entity, we call it as a table. And how the tables are related is what we call it as an entity relationship diagram. So we'll be understanding the tables. What is a table? What is a row? What is a column? What is a constraint? Why should you should be very careful about understanding all these things is what we're going to see in detail today with some example, and also I'll dive you to through the lab, like how to create an ER diagram with the help of this one dbdiagram.io. Okay, so let us go ahead. First, let us understand what is a table, row, column, and schema. Okay, so a table is a structure used to store the data in a relational database. So it is a proper structured data where this is how it will be. You can see here, this is a table. Okay, this will be in a structured way. So you can see here, this is a column. Okay, and these are the rows. So you can see here, these each and every single row are here. So think about a table as a grid or a spreadsheet. Each contains a rows and a column. So each row in a table represents a single record. And you can see that each column represents an attribute of the record. So here you can see that we have employee ID. So employee ID is a basically it's an attribute. Okay, so employee ID is an attribute, Aadhaar number is an attribute, e-name is an attribute, job is an attribute, salary, department number is an attribute. So comment below that what are the other attributes in this particular table, department number. Likewise, tell me what are the attributes which are there, which is we call it as a column. Okay. So then what do you mean by a schema? You should understand a schema is a blueprint of the database, how it should looks like. So this is a schema. So it will tell you like what is that. Okay. Actually, this schema shows that this is a table and these are the data and how this table is related to each other. So a schema is a blueprint where it defines a table, it defines a column, it defines a data type, default values, and relationship between the tables. Think of it like an architectural plan before you build a house. Okay. And then coming to the point is what keys. Okay, so why should we really need a key? What is the purpose of the key in each and every table, and why we have to follow some constraints in the table? And each and every table actually should follow a key, and there are various types of key basically, but it is good if you understand what is a primary key, foreign key, and a basically constraint. Okay, so primary key is like a unique key, a unique number or an ID which represents each record, which identify the each record. So imagine a primary key as a unique and not null. It should be unique and it should not be null. So if you are creating a database for your college to store your college data, so the primary key will be what? Your registration number. Okay, registration number or student ID or whatever you can say. If you are storing the employee data, then employee ID will be the primary key. So primary key which uniquely identifies each row in a table, and it must be unique, it must be not null. So here you can identify that this employee ID is the primary key. Okay, this is the primary key here. Okay, employee ID. And what is the foreign key? See, I have a department table. I have to, if I wanted to refer your two tables. So here you can see that I have two tables. This is table number one. Okay, this is table one. Let us take it as table one, which is an employee table, and this is table two, which we will take it as an department table. So this two tables should be related with each other, right? Then only I can fetch which employees are working in which department. Or if I want to get the location of an employee, I'll be checking this. Okay. So you have these two table. I want to relate this two table. If you are not relating, you cannot fetch the data from both the table. So how I can relate? In this table 2 I have department number, and in table 1 I have department number. So this both acts as a common key. So you can connect only with the common key. So that is our department number. So in department table, department number is a primary key, whereas in employee table, department number is a foreign key. Okay, for the foreign key should not be unique. Foreign key can be duplicated in the table where you're referring it. Okay, so here you can see that an employee can work in one department. So we are just referring to this. Okay, even if you're adding a new entry like 15, okay, this employee can work in a department 90, right? So you can refer it here. Okay, so the unique, that is a primary key, should not be duplicated. Primary key should be unique. That is what I told, and it should not be not null. Whereas the foreign key can be duplicated. But this department number is a primary key in the department table, that is in the table 2, but it is a foreign key in the table 1. Okay, this is how this will work. So this is what primary key and the foreign key. You should be aware of what is primary key and what is foreign key here. So why it is really important? In order to establish a proper integrity, data integrity, we require this primary key and foreign key. Okay, and now let us understand what is a constraint. So constraint ensures the data integrity in your database. For example, if you are just mentioning constraint, means it is like some rules. You are just setting a rule. If you are telling that while creating a table, we used to tell that which, if you require the Aadhaar number, if you mean that the Aadhaar number should be mandatory, then you have to make it as not null. If you want the Aadhaar number should be unique, then you have to use unique. If you feel like it should be like check constraint, for example, if you are asking someone to enter the age, okay, then it should be like the age should be above 18, right? If he is working in an IT company, he's an employee. Or if it is like a license, he should be above 18. So you have to write a check constraint that the age should be above 18. Okay, and it should be below 70 or 80, something like that. Okay, so you should just you have to mention that. So that is what we call it as a constraint. So some rules you have to specify. So let us just try to write the constraint. So let me just tell you what are the types of constraints you. So let us just see what are the types of constraints you have. So you have actually 5 types of constraints. One is a not null constraint, unique constraint, check constraint, default constraints, and the foreign key constraints. Okay. So let us just try to add that constraint here. Okay. So let me just add the constraint here. So you have these constraints. So the first constraint is what? Okay. So the first constraint is the unique constraint. Second one is not null. Third one is check constraint, where you can check whether what is the age of that person, or maybe the employee salary should be above this or below this. Default constraint. Okay, and next one is the default constraint, and finally it's a foreign key constraint. Okay, so what is the default constraint? It will assign a default value for something. For example, if you wanted to assign some default value, okay, if the people are not entering their age, or if they are not entering their salary, then you should fix the default value as 5000 or something like that. So you can set the default constraint. Finally, the foreign key, which enforces the referential integrity between the tables. Okay, so these are the types of constraints which you have. And next to talk about is what entity relationship modeling. So entity relationship diagram is a visual representation of a data and how the data refers to each other, how the table refers to each other, which helps in designing the structure before implementation. For example, if you're planning to create a database for your university or for your organization, so it is not like you have to do it ad hoc or on the go. You have to first design what are the tables you require and what are the attributes you require and how it should be. Everything you should be very careful and you have to design it properly. What are the columns you need to get in? So this is what entity relationship diagram, which shows the real connect between every table. Okay, so I have discussed about the normalization, what is normalization and everything in another video. I'll be sharing that in the description, so you can just go ahead and watch it. So when you are trying to connect the tables, you should say what is a table is all about and how these are related to each other. For example, in every table, we have three key components. One is an entity, which is a real world object, which is a table. Second one is an attribute, which is a property or the field of an entity, like a column. The third one is what the relationship, which shows the connections between two entities. Okay. Okay, so you have this entity, like entity means a real world object. So here you can say that this is an entity. Okay, the country is an entity, capital is an entity, whereas an attribute is a field or a property. For example, here country is an attribute of country name is an attribute of country entity. Capital is an attribute of country entity. Inhabitants is an attribute of country entity. Whereas this, so it has a different thing. Okay, and the relationship. You can see here that how these two table are related. So these two table are related as one to one relationship. Okay, country has one. Every country has a capital. Okay, so every country has one capital. Rather is how it is. Okay, so you can see here. So the entities are shown in a rectangle. Okay, so you can find it here. Usually we will make it as a rectangle here. Okay, why should we use this? Because this ensures the data redundancy and helps the developer and the stakeholders understand the system. So this is how it is. Okay, so there are various types of entities and we will basically look into many-to-many relationship, one-to-one, how these relationship are. So one-to-one relationship, one-to-many, many-to-one and many-to-many. Okay, so this is one-to-one. You can see a student personal detail and the student mark sheet, like mark data is one-to-one relationship. Employee personal detail and employee data is one-to-one relationship. So whereas one many to many means student and the skill is a many to many relationship. Usually this many to many relationship, we will be establishing an intermediate table. So orders and products, these are actually connected as a many to many relationship if we are directly connecting it. But in a real time scenario, this many to many relationship is not accepted directly because it will give you a lot of confusion. So what we will do is in a real time scenario, if you want to connect as a many to many relationship, we'll be introducing an intermediate table or a bridge table, where this bridge table will be connected with these two tables in order to establish the many to many relationship. This I have explained in another video, which is like a normalization video. You can understand it even more better. Okay, now let us see a hands-on with a DB diagram. So DB diagram is used to create a ER diagram. Okay, so DB diagram, there are various other online tools are also there. I'll just show you how to create a diagram. Just click create your diagram. It will ask you to sign in initially. You can just sign in first. So initially they will show you the options, it will show you the thing. First, a sample. So initially it will be showing you some demo ER diagram. So you can just create a new ER diagram here. How to create it? You have to just click here and go and select for the new diagram. So once you select a new diagram, it will show you like this. So you have to create a table. So this is a simple structure of creating a table. Let me just show you one by one how to create a table with a proper entity. So what I have already written, I'm ready with the table. So this is the table called purchases. And in this table, I have an ID I have a customer ID, I have a purchase status and this purchase date, right? So I'm mentioning that this is a primary key. Okay, so you can see here that primary key is actually showing as a key. Got it? So this is how you can create it. And the second table, I am going to add a purchase detail table. So here I don't have any connection, so I just leaving. Then it's a book table. I just wanted to add a book table here. Okay, so let me just add a book table, which is a which has a ID, which has a title. Okay, so these tables are here. So I've just created the table, purchase table, and the books table. So and the next one, if you wanted to create, you can just create something like a customer table. Okay, so I'm just going to create a customer table here. So this is the customer table ID. I am just making this everything as a integer, the primary key. I haven't connected anything with the foreign key. So let me just create another table here, which is another table. So you can see all these tables which are coming up this side. Okay, so let me just move it. Yeah, customer table is here. Okay, so once this is your, actually this is what books is the entity name, that is a table name, and ID, title, author ID, these are all the attributes. Okay, we have just added all these things. Now if I wanted to, so likewise I just wanted to create two more tables, which is a journal and the countries. Okay, I have created all these things, the journal and the country, and now I wanted to relate all these tables, right? So in order to relate something, I'll be using the word called ref. Okay, so let me just refer the customer, let me just refer these tables. um, okay, so I'm just using this. See, I have referred this one, purchased or customer ID and customer ID. So what happened, it has referred it, purchases dot customer ID and the customers dot ID, I have referred it. Okay, likewise I wanted to refresh, if I want to refer something else, I can use this. So you can see here it has referred the purchases and the purchase details, and you can see it is automatically establishing a relationship that it's a one to many. So how I'm saying that it's a one to many, because here it is showing 0 dot dot 1, which is 1 0 or 1 purchases, which is related with multiple purchase detail, because one person can purchase many books, right? So that is why it is showing many. Okay, so likewise here one customer can purchase multiple, can have multiple purchases, so here it is showing one to many. Okay, likewise if you wanted to create a relationship between any of these tables, you can just add the code here. So once the codes are added, you can find that all these tables are connected, and once you are trying to move your cursor, it will show you how it is actually flowing, what is the flow of this table and how it is actually flowing and everything. Okay, so just try this. I will also leave this code in the classroom. Okay, so if you have missed the previous sessions, go and watch it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe here for more videos like this. So next session, you can find the agenda of this code without barriers complete agenda here. So we have completed the third session, and now we have to just move on to the fourth one, which is SQL basics. Okay, so we'll be creating a table with the SQL query and the data type and the constraint, and we'll be writing our first SQL commands. Okay, so take care. We'll meet soon. Bye bye.